So, within Future Motive, the central topic is represented by the future. So, we're going to talk about the city of the future of mobility, as well as car repairs. So, we're going to do that with a number of companies dealing with artificial intelligence. But before that, I'd like to introduce an important speaker, that is to say, Orlie Gruper. And the next presentation will be in English. I'd like to remind you that if you want to follow the presentation in English, please use it, otherwise use the translation into Italian. Eccoci qui.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me here today.
It's a great pleasure for us. So, Orlie Gruper is Executive Director of EcoMotion, which is a smart mobility community with over 600 startups and 12,000 community members in the field. It is a global community based in Tel Aviv, Israel, whose mission is to support the growth of the smart transportation sector and positioning Israel as a global innovation center for it. Orlie, is that something like that? Is it like that? Is it true? And how do you foresee the future of mobility and its impact on smart garages, Orlie?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. And I hope that one day I will be able to do this keynote in Italian. I am quarter Italian myself, so it's a great pride. Famiglia Bocara da Livorno.
Whoa, I didn't know it.
Yeah, fun fact. And yeah, what I wanted to share with you today is not only the future of mobility, but exactly how it will affect, in my opinion, the garages, the smart garages, and maybe to share a little bit of my pearls on the matter.
Okay.
So many people have been talking about the ACEs, ACES, which this is autonomous, connected, electric, and shared, the future of mobility. And yet what I want to discuss here today is how this thing is going to affect the aftermarket and the garages and the maintenance world. So if we look at the first autonomous, we see that, yes, autonomous vehicles, I don't need to explain it, but what it will affect is that there will be more electronic components and we will have more computing power within. And these are new types of hardware that will be in what we know from machines and carburetors and carburetors and oil and gearboxes are now going to become computing power. And if we're looking at the future of autonomous vehicles, then we're looking at machines creating decisions on the road. And machines creating decisions, this means hopefully less accidents. This thing is also going to affect garages and the whole maintenance supply chain. If we look at connectivity, we know that the vehicle will have a lot of data. This data can inform garages on malfunctions that are happening in the vehicle. We see already today OEMs putting OBDs and connecting the vehicle so they can preserve also the clients and bring them to their garages. And I think there's also an opportunity for independent garages today to start connecting to the vehicles of their clients. And in the future, it's not me calling my garage saying, hey, I have a problem in my car. It's the garage calling me and saying, I see something that is wrong in the discrepancy. And can you please come over this day, this hour? We will check your car. We will take care of everything. And you even have maybe an office space to work in the meanwhile. The third thing is electric, right? And what we know about electric is the first thing, it will be less parts. From a vehicle that we take care of many different parts inside it, we will have a consolidation to a motor, controller, batteries, BMS, and a few other parts, but really a lot of less. But every part will be much more expensive. This means that we need to create capabilities in order to learn these parts and not only replace them. The other thing is batteries. Batteries is chemistry. It's a whole new world, which we need to create new capabilities of understanding this world and understanding how to treat the batteries. And the last thing is regeneration, right? Regeneration means that when I let go of the pedal, there's regeneration from the controller back into the batteries, and then the car uses less the brakes. I founded an electric motorcycle company. I was the first female entrepreneur in EcoMotion, and I know that the garage was annoyed by me because they didn't need to replace the pads of the brakes so often. And I know this is a small part, but it's another small part in this whole thing. The last one is shared. And shared means higher usage of vehicles, but less private vehicles. And this is something that we also need to take in mind. All of this with the governmental and global pressure of lowering the number of vehicles and lowering global pollution, which is the greatest challenge of our era and decade, the whole climate change and the pollution that is coming out. And so now they're pushing shared mobility a lot. There is a big growth in micromobility. People in urban areas are leaving their vehicle for a bicycle or a kick scooter. And we are looking towards a future also of low emission zones or no vehicle zones. So in creating this future of mobility and starting the digitalization of this whole era and shifting the machine vehicle from a machine to a computer on wheels, the big OEMs and tier ones all over the world understood that they need to shift something from a world where everything was built in-house, everything was in closed doors and very high walls, so no one can look in. Today, we're looking at a new world, a world where we understand that we need to look at synergies and how each one can bring something to the table in order together to create something bigger and adapt to the fast need of the market. Because the market, if we were looking in the 60s, a new model that would come out would not be as much every year. Today we look every year, so many new models are coming out and so many new technologies. So my idea and my vision and how it should affect the garages in the future is that maybe we learn from this and take this to the maintenance world. How we can start looking at the different players needed in order to create this future of garages, and to start thinking of how can we create synergies between all of these and how can each bring something to the table. If I take you about 10, maybe 15 years ago, you used to have a VCR, you used to have a DVD, you used to have fixed things, electronic things in your home appliances, and there were labs that you would bring this to them. Today, when you buy something, you get a service for it. Most companies even come and pick it up from your home and take it and fix it and bring it back to you. So all of these world of electronic labs went away from the world. And if I'm looking at the battery companies that are creating the battery labs, they're labs. They're working inside the company in very remote areas, disconnected from everyone else in this ecosystem. And how I see this, and if I may share my vision with you, the future garage I see is a garage where you have the garage on the first floor, with the ramps and everything that is needed in order to treat the vehicle. On the second floor, I would see an electronics lab. I would see another battery lab, which can take care of the components from the garage and need more assistance in working, on a table with different capabilities, with different type of machinery. And then on the third level, maybe even have a technology company and have a startup that's working on the next innovation, and then cooperate also with the labs and the garages, and have the garages not only look at this future world, but start being a part of it from the beginning of it, and start being inside of this cycle of creating this future of mobility, not only awaiting for it to arrive to the market and being the aftermarket, but also being part of the creation of the future mobility itself. in order to do all these things, I think that we need to start reaching out. We need to start looking at what is needed, because also a lot of garages, so the big OEM garages, they have the funds they need in order to make everything in-house. And I don't know how it is in Italy. I know that in Israel, we're afraid of the small home-owned, family-owned garages that, you know, have very specific capabilities. So the way I see it, if the government can also support consolidation of these things to help them come together. So one garage can take care of one thing, but next to him, right next to him, there's the paint shop. Right next to him, there's the guy taking care of all the windshields and the headlights and everything. So creating kind of these ecosystems of bringing together physically, even not sending each time, you know, the driver to take care of every part, and bringing everything together to one thing. And the last thing I want to keep you in mind, and this kind of like my just another little pearl, is that we need to remember that garages, they're real estate. And we need to start thinking of them as that, because a garage is open in the day, and at night, when it finishes, it can become public parking for electric vehicles that need to charge overnight. They, with the whole world of connectivity and new technologies, can start becoming a store for these technologies, and they can start selling, you know, safety cameras and all these things, and start learning about all the different technologies that they can offer in order to enhance the vehicles of their clients, and also preserve this personal relationship and use connectivity for their benefit in order to be connected to their clients. This is my 2 cents. This is how I see, and I would love to discuss with anyone who wants to explore new innovation in the field of mobility and to explore new technologies. Any type, so we can start building a bridge also between Israel and Italy. Not only start, it's there, but let's widen it and let's create great things together.
It will be nice. In your opinion, how long will it take to see these kind of changes, you know, between what's now in our reality and what we will have in the future?
I think that, so we had a few big revolutions in history. We had the Industrial Revolution in the year 2000. We had the Communication Revolution, and now we're in the midst of the mobility of revolution. I think that it's not only when, but I don't even think that we're aware or even acknowledging of what will be in the end the effect of this thing. I'm not a prophet, I cannot say a year, but what I can say is that when we were developing, you know, applications and Wi-Fi on the phone and all of these things, from a product that we used to call people, we now manage most of our life on this. So I believe that the vehicles will become something that help us manage 80%, 90% of our life, and be an extension of our phone, of our home, and of our being.
And what about the differences between the reality in each country, you know, the differences between one country and another one part of the world and another?
So the difference will be with the countries and regulators that start embracing innovation and technologies. Those will be the pioneers. And I see already in the world that the countries that enable more technology, more advancement, and they call also the innovators to come and join them and implement. And this is the time to, you know, open the table for new players to come in and to listen and to create a regulation to support where we don't even know the future yet, but we need to start enabling it and testing it and seeing it in the streets, and not only in interesting articles, but actually see how it can improve our lives.
So what what about the things we need to build a better world, in your opinion?
Good heart.
Not bad.
Not to give up, continue spreading light, and we need to have an ecosystem. This is why we created EcoMotion here. We have a lot of startups in Israel, but startups can't grow within a void. You need to bring money in because this is energy. Yeah, that's fuels. You need to bring enabling policy and regulation. You need to bring the industry together. You need to bring the academy to the table. It's all by creating these synergies. The same thing as I'm suggesting now for the maintenance world. Once we start bringing everyone to the table and everyone starts working together for this future, then things will go faster.
Do you think that there is something that could slow down this kind of project?
Well, we saw that in the beginning of COVID, they discussed, a slowdown of level 4, 5 of autonomy. But level 2 and 3 are right here, and a lot of models are already implementing these within the next 5 years. So I wouldn't worry so much of this talk of, level 4, 5. Let's focus on the now, on the near future. Let's make sure these are implemented as they should. And I think the biggest hurdle right now is to stop putting numbers and percentages on electric vehicles and start to see how we can implement them here and now and push these forward. And when pushing this forward, also understanding that electric vehicles, yes, they pollute less, but we need to start looking at the whole 360. What happens when we take out batteries in the vehicle, in the garage, and put new ones? What happens to these batteries? How are we going to handle them? How are we going to recycle them? What do we do when we create the vehicle itself? And we need to start looking at these 360 sustainability and start implementing these things, because our world is for us to live in and we need to take care of it.
Thank you so much, Orlie Gruper. Thank you so much, really.
Future Motive.